First test of the day. Check. How you all doing? You feeling energized? My name is Jose Etcheverry. I am the candidate for the Green Party of Ontario for Markham-Stouffville. This is an Earth Day celebration, so I'm not supposed to speak politics, which I find it's incredibly perplexing. I don't think anything is more important than the people that govern us. And I think anybody that wants this job should tell you why they want this job and how they're going to doing things differently. I'm not going to do that because we're here for an Earth Day celebration. All I can tell you is this. If you don't like the reds, if you don't like the blues, if you don't like them oranges, you could go green. So how do you introduce a panel like the one we have without going into the dark places of the destruction of the planet? I suppose it can be done by saying that we don't have any need whatsoever to destroy the planet. We have the technology, we have the money. What are we missing is the political commitment to do the right thing. You will be hearing from a group of speakers that are, in the case of David Suzuki, devoted their lives to try to make sure that this planet can remain whole for present and future generations, not just for humans, but for all the other inhabitants of our planet. And it is my honor to tell you that the people that will speak to you today will have a little bit of time, nay, a bit of time to talk to you about the questions you may have. Because too many times we speak, and too few times we listen. And we Greens do politics different. That's why we're asking your support in the next election. And I want to start today's evening with a young woman that is like me, a Southerner. You may have noticed I got a bit of an accent. I'm Canadian by choice. I'm not Canadian by birth. I was born in Chile, where I fought against the... Thank you. There's a few Chileans in the crowd. We fought for democracy very hard. We had to be chased out of democracy. Dictatorship was ruling our nation, and we fought for that. When I was a young person, I actually helped organize the secondary schools of my city, and I kept getting expelled from each school that I was, because the schools were governed by the dictatorship. So we take very seriously democracy. And I decided to run for office because I see that there's a deficit on ideas, a deficit on ethics, and most importantly, a deficit of local representation. Politicians are being elected, and then they forget who put them in that chair. And that cannot be like that. And it will not be like that with me. And I can assure you it will not be like that with Caryn Bergmann. So Caryn Bergmann is a person that is also a Canadian by choice. She was born in South Africa, where she had to fight the power there too, because those guys had a very different problem, but similar situation. A small minority opposing and punishing a big majority. So Caryn will tell you what it means to be a millennial woman on the 21st century and what it's all about when you're trying to do the right thing for your community. So why don't we give her a round of applause?
Thanks, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much, Jose, for that amazing introduction. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Happy Earth Day. And thank you again to the amazing volunteers that worked so hard to make this all happen. You guys are awesome. Let's give them another round of applause. And yeah, thank you guys for coming. It means a lot that you all came out. So my name, like Jose mentioned, is Caryn Bergmann. And I'm here to share a little bit about who I am and my journey to make a difference in the world, being a young person and being a woman. Like Jose mentioned, I was born in South Africa during the apartheid, and my family moved to Markham when I was 3. So it was more my parents doing the fighting and the struggling, but we moved here when I was 3, and I'm thankful every day that they chose Canada to call their home. We live in a beautiful country where we are free to do whatever we want, to say whatever we want, and to be who we are. And we have an infinite number of possibilities and opportunities to make change and build the lives for ourselves that we want. But it's not always easy, especially as a young person and especially as a woman. When generally the voice of a young person is deemed unimportant, trivial, without merit, and as a woman in a world run by men who are not really used to listening to a woman's ideas or taking direction from a strong, passionate female. When you, thank you. Apparently I'm not the only one that thinks like that. When you were younger, how many of you felt pretty helpless? Did you feel like there was nothing you could do to change anything because you were too young? I certainly did. After all, our first experiences in school is usually sit down, shut up, and listen. Stop fidgeting, don't talk to your neighbors, pay attention. I grew up thinking I was pretty insignificant, that my opinion didn't matter, and I was powerless to change anything. I felt I had to fall in line, fit the mold, get a good job, go to university, buy a house, and work the 9-to-5 life until I retire. So I did that. I went to university, I studied accounting, I chose a straightforward career path where I knew I could make a lot of money and just keep to myself. But after graduating, I started to know myself a bit better, develop my self-confidence, and I realized I wanted to do more in this world. I saw so many problems, and I wanted to help fix things. I wanted to protect this beautiful planet that we live on, fight injustice, teach children to be respectful of everyone they meet, and inspire people of all ages to stand up for what they believe in so that they can help solve the problems that they saw. But I didn't really know how, and I didn't believe in myself. How often do you see a young person leading a movement on TV? Or better yet, a young girl? It's finally starting to break through with the students that started the March of Our Lives in the States and Malala Yousafzai, but still it feels like a novelty, and often it doesn't get the attention or respect it deserves. How much different would our world be if our children, especially our girls, were taught that their opinions and ideas were important, that if they were nurtured to believe in what they felt was right and in their own voice and their power. If they were actively listened to and validated and respected by the adults that they look up to, like their parents, their teachers, and their older siblings. Our imagination and compassion is the strongest when we're younger. The weight of the world hasn't yet dawned on us, and we have so much hope. Furthermore, children know the difference between right and wrong. You tell a child about a company stealing our water, about clear-cutting our land or our forests, polluting our land, and see what they say. Heck, tell a kid that everyone in the class is getting ice cream, except for one kid, and see their reaction. They know what's fair and what's not. But then we grow up, and we lose that passion for justice. We become caught up in making money to survive, putting food on the table, and we don't seem to care about companies that steal our water for profit, the fact that we're wiping out species of animals left, right, and center, destroying their habitats and their food sources, or even the billions of tons of plastics that's destroying our oceans and slowly making its way into our bodies. I don't blame you. We feel helpless. We feel that there's nothing we can do and we don't have the time or the energy to fight. But our children do. They have the will, the compassion, and the energy. Imagine what would happen if we gave our youth the tools and the power to fight for what they believed in. I'm telling you right now, the world would be a better place. Strong children grow up to be strong adults. Children that believe in themselves grow up to be adults who have the confidence to fight for what's right and don't back down when things get difficult. We need to start listening to our kids, supporting them with their initiatives, and not letting our own filters and biases be lethargic or cause us to be lethargic and pessimistic towards their dreams, especially girls. As a girl, it's even harder. There's a systemic and socially perpetuated stigma where an outspoken female is perceived as combative or abrasive, hormonal or emotional, and a passionate woman is automatically discounted and not heard or appreciated or even respected. Not only does this prejudice affect the people that she's trying to communicate to, but it also affects her. It creates a self-doubt, lowers her self-esteem, and where she believes that she's not worthy of being listened to. That's how I felt growing up, and I still deal with that feeling to this day. You might not realize it, but we subconsciously cut down strong females, especially if they're under 30. Why? Do our opinions matter any less? Do we not care or feel or love as much as older males? Are we not as intelligent or creative or capable? We need to work at actively giving young women a chance to be heard to make change. If we don't, our girls will not believe in themselves, our world will not change as best as it can, and our daughters and our sisters will not achieve their full potential, won't feel fulfilled in their lives, will grow up being unhappy and suffer from mental health issues. When we see a strong woman, girl, or young person, we must support them. We must give them the same respect we would a man. We must not discount them before they even begin to speak. If we do this, we open up the doors for passion to flourish. And by actively supporting them, we can change our world for the better. I'll leave you with this quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., someone who suffered from systemic biases, who fought for his community to be respected and have equal rights, and who 50 years ago was assassinated for speaking out. It reads, "I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am somebody. I may make a mistake, but I am somebody. I am black, brown, white. I speak a different language, but I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am somebody." Thank you.
Well, that's how it is. And I think you need to reflect on that for a second, what it actually means on the next election, to have people that not only think a little broader, more different, more inclusive. How do you make it happen that people like Caryn or myself or our next speaker, Mike Schreiner, will actually win in the election that is coming on June 7th? It depends on you.
That commitment to Paris. If we don't have that, then everything we do as individuals, yes, it has an effect, but it's a drop in the bucket to what we need now. We need some big decisions, and I believe that the responsibility then is that we have to get heavily involved in politics. As citizens and as adults who are concerned about the future we're leaving for our children, we've got no choice but to tell the people we elect to office to get the hell off the corporate agenda and start thinking about the decisions that are going to reflect our children's future. I'm sorry. I really do have to go. I've had a very long day. I had a 7 o'clock breakfast, which is 4 o'clock our time. But thank you very much for coming out. Jose's the man.
Thank you, David. all for coming out tonight. I just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight. I know Jose and Caryn, I'm assuming you'll be here to answer questions if people want to come up and ask personally. And have a wonderful night and a safe trip home. Thank you.
Happy Earth Day. Thank you, everybody.